Hey guys, here we go into a video breakdown on Sean O'Malley's KO of Mr. Wineland. Then we're going to look at Cody Garbrandt's KO of Asunciao. We're going to break down whose was better, why, and then whether or not I think that Sean O'Malley could beat Cody Garbrandt. Well, first off, you guys have all talked and seen the highlights, right? Feint. And you know the easy part, right? Feint uppercut, right? Feint left hand. He talks about it into a straight right hand, right? Now, the parts of this that you may be missing to understanding why this is such a great technique for him, and it was actually a pretty good KO. It's not like great KO, right? It's pretty good. But what happens, what I want you to pay attention to first, there's a timing in combat sports when you get on the line. And on my channel, if you're part of my Patreon, I call this area first contact. Now, in MMA, first contact is a little different because you can kick each other. So first contact, there's going to be a point of first contact in which you're at range for kicking, and there's going to be a point of first contact at range for punching. Now, you can kind of seamlessly blend these two together if you're not going to be throwing super long kicks, right? Maybe like not jabbing leg kicks, right? But throwing leg kicks, right, with your hand feints into leg kicks or whatever. And that range and distance can be similar to punching. So what we're going to be looking at is Eddie Wineland, his front foot, okay? Now, what I want you to pay attention to is his front foot and Sean O'Malley's reaction to it, okay? So I'm just going to play the clip a few times, and I want you to see if you can pick up when it is or what the timing is, right? Okay, yeah, you got it. So as soon as Eddie Wineland gets into first contact zone, right? He gets on that front foot, he begins transferring his weight. Sean O'Malley immediately feints him with that right uppercut and then the left hand. Now, the right uppercut is designed to push him off of his line. So he's taking a aggressive stance, getting his weight to the front foot. And Sean O'Malley is going to go from the back foot and try to cross his line all the way to the front foot. Now, it's very dangerous just to open up against your opponent and just move out of your guard and throw punches. So as Sean O'Malley is crossing the line, he feints with the uppercut, feints with the left hand, and then throws the right hand. Now, what happens is when Sean O'Malley is going to the front foot, he's going to be susceptible to the left hook here, right? But Sean O'Malley, now this is the part that people may not want to hear or enjoy hearing. Sean O'Malley doesn't actually have the greatest line, okay? He doesn't have a lot of great head movement. He moves his head a lot when he kicks, but, that's kind of like, it's kind of hard not to move your head when you throw half your base around, right? But he doesn't move his head off the line very often when he's not punching. Now, he does get his head off the line pretty well when he throws this right hand. And we're going to talk a little bit about that breakdown and how that left hook feint plays a part in this position. But he doesn't really get to the back half of his line super well, very much like Mr. Wineland here when he gets feinted. Now, because Wineland is getting feinted on the front foot, he's supposed to be moving to the back foot, okay? I'm going to interject real quick, and I want to show you guys what that means, or what that looks like, okay? That looks like this, okay? When you get feinted and you move to the back foot like this and you get all your weight back there. Now, real quick, I know what you guys are saying, Garbrandt, right? He's really out of position. He's actually just on the back half of his line, okay? This is very similar to being on the front foot, right? With what Eddie Wineland is looking to do here, right? As he tries to get to the front foot. And the orthodox position, the front foot, looks exactly like the southpaw's front foot. Or the front foot, the orthodox front foot looks like is basically the southpaw back foot, okay? So these two positions are interlinked, okay? Between being the front foot, the back foot, and southpaw and orthodox. Because, you have two sides of your body and they're exactly mirrored, right? In theory. So he gets basically to the front foot, right, of a southpaw position, okay? That's essentially where he's at. So he's on the back foot of his right foot, right, or the back half of his line. Now, the reason it's so exaggerated here is because Asunciao is a southpaw. So when Asunciao meets him on the line, if he were to throw this left hand, right, and now remember Eddie Wineland here, real quick. Eddie Wineland gets on the line, and what does Sean O'Malley do? He feints him at first contact, right? Feint, attack, right? This is exactly what Asunciao is doing as well. So he gets on the line, feints with that left hand, watch Asunciao's left hand, as it attempts to connect the line with Cody Garbrandt's head, right? Boom. See how Cody Garbrandt gets off the line? When Asunciao gets on the line with first contact, his first instinct here is to control Cody Garbrandt with the feint or a probe from the southpaw position with his back hand to push Cody Garbrandt off of his line. Very similarly to what's going on here with Eddie Wineland. He's getting feinted and pushed off of his line. Now, the reason that this is an important idea is the reason that Sean O'Malley wants to push Eddie Wineland off to the back of his line and not attacking him because he's exposed on the front foot with the left hook is because Sean O'Malley doesn't actually have a left hook. Now, I know he probably actually does, but I've never seen him in any of his footage bring his weight from the front foot to the back foot like Cody Garbrandt is doing here, which is going to allow you to get the weight into that attack. Now, this position here, if Cody goes from this neutral position and bends down this way, this is the same direction that his weight is going to be carried if he were to throw a left hook. And that's why I believe that Sean O'Malley, instead of taking advantage of the fact that Wineland is getting to the front foot with left hooks or, maybe left kicks to the head, and as he drags his weight to the right side of his body, he has to feint him off the line first to set up the right hand because he's less, I want to say, technically savvy as Cody Garbrandt. Now, I want to elaborate on that a little more, but first I want to continue breaking down Sean O'Malley's right hand. Now, again, he's going to go from the back foot, right, pivoting off of the back foot or transferring his weight from the back foot forward as Wineland gets on the line with him. So Sean O'Malley doing a great job of getting on the line with Wineland with his first contact move of feinting the right uppercut. Now, most people, when they get on the line here, they throw punches, just immediately blast out of their guard and throw punches or throw kicks. This is such a scary place in the world for them, in spite of the fact that this is the safest place in the world that they train to be, right? So Sean O'Malley doing a great job of controlling the space between him and Wineland and pushing Wineland off of the front foot into the back foot, right? Transferring his weight to the back foot. And then after the feint, which is going to bring Wineland's left hand forward or down, right? You can see bring his hand down. That shot right there, when he's using that his hand motion to kind of parry the right uppercut, that's actually used to transfer his weight to the back foot, okay? So he's getting to the front foot, and then that motion is going to be what changes and turns his hips, okay? So he makes that motion so he can start transferring his weight to the back foot, okay? So he's going to the front foot, and now he's trying to pivot to the back foot once he gets feinted. Now, Sean O'Malley is going to do something very similar to what Wineland is doing. I know, bear with me. He takes this step, right? So he shoots that feint with the right uppercut. And now, because he's crossing Wineland's line, going from the back foot to the front foot, he has to transfer a bit of his weight to sell the feint, right? And that means that that's going to be weight that he does not have in his right hand. So how does he make up the difference and so that he can get power into this shot? Well, he's going to take a step. Now, the reason that he's going to take a step is because in order to get power into this attack, he needs to take his head from the left side of Wineland's face, right, and the left side of Wineland's body, and transfer to the right side of Wineland's body as he crosses Wineland's line or crosses Wineland's head to throw that right hand. Let's just take a look at that. So look at how he gets his head from the back foot, essentially, all the way onto the front foot, right, above his knee, and he also gets his head from one side of Wineland's head to the other side of Wineland's head, or the other side of Wineland's line. Now, there are a lot of things going on here. So continuing, uppercut, and now he uses this left hand probe. Now, getting back to what Wineland did, right? When Wineland's body mechanics, he gets to the front foot and he needs to transfer his weight to the back foot, he looks to use the aid of his lead hand to transfer his weight and allow his shoulders to assist in the rotation of his hips and transferring his weight to the back foot so he can pull away. As you see, he's trying to pull away from this right hand. Very similarly to what Garbrandt does here when he pulls away, right? He just has a cage behind him, so he can't actually pull his weight away from Asunciao anymore. But it's essentially the same idea, but Wineland is just not getting all the way off the line here. So what's happening, O'Malley shoots this probe out here, the right uppercut, and now, because he's brought a little bit of his weight forward, he needs to get his weight back to the back foot, right? But he also needs to get his left foot, farther across Wineland's head Because remember, the goal, in order to get power into his shot, he needs to get his head from one side of Wineland's body, or his head, to the other side of it. And the only place that his head can be is above his feet. That's where his head is going to be when he ends his position, right? After he throws that right hand. So, feint, and then he uses the left hand to reposition him and carry his weight so that he can take a step, okay? So, just like Wineland is doing as he goes from the front foot and attempts to get to the back foot with the rotation of his body mechanics and his upper body, forcing a rotation in his hips, Sean O'Malley is also looking to use a manual weight transition with his lead hand to readjust his hips to get the weight to his back foot while he takes a step so that he can better get his head into a more dominant position to land a more powerful punch, right? So feint, left hand, takes a step, readjusts his hips, and then throws his weight into the shot. It's actually a really, really beautiful technique. It's really, really well done. And to be honest, Sean O'Malley should be really proud of it. It is really clean. It's really sharp. He sets it up really well. He breaks the rhythm on Wineland really well because Wineland is on a beat, right? He's going forward, back, right? And Sean O'Malley makes 3 decisions while he goes from the back foot, boom, 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 to the front foot. And Wineland is only prepared to make 1 decision per line here, right? So he gets really caught out of position, not really being able to adjust to the first feint, right, as it comes out, and not being able to get off the line for the actual second feint or the attack. So, the next thing that we're going to look at, Cody Garbrandt's attack, right? So everyone saw it. Probably the greatest, knockout I've ever seen. It was so good, right? And Asunciao just, look at him just fly, man. Whoa! It's interesting to hear Sean O'Malley's interpretation of this and try to rag on him for having bad technique. Because Cody Garbrandt literally does everything perfectly here. Not only because of the fact that Cody Garbrandt has an excellent line. He can use the front half or the back half of his line. He has excellent movement. Absolutely, hands down, probably the best striking or boxing. I want to say striking as in punching, not as in technical ability, right? So Sean O'Malley's talking striking, being, I'm the best striker, as in I have the best feints and probes and setups, right? I have the best, line. And when I'm talking about striking for Garbrandt, I mean power, strength. He utilizes his line very efficiently with his power. He's really, really good with his line in that regard. But the idea that his technique is worse than Sean O'Malley's is just insane to me. It's absolutely baffling because Sean O'Malley does a good job of using 1 weight transition, essentially, to cross Wineland's line and knock him out, whereas Garbrandt is using 2 weight transitions. He's going from this neutral position here to the back foot and then exploding out of that position into this position and still carrying his weight with him. This is very, very difficult to do, especially when you're landing a shot as like a rocket right hand like this. So let's break this one down a little bit too in a similar fashion. So Asunciao is approaching the line. He's attempting to get into that position for first contact, okay? So he's on the back foot. Neither one of them can hit each other. And Cody Garbrandt, notice, is leaning on the front foot, okay? This is very, very, very important, okay? Because of the fact that this is the position that Cody Garbrandt looks to bait attacks in. Now, he did this versus, what's that guy's name? Dominic Cruz, right? The guy with the footwork. Everyone's and Dominic Cruz's footwork is pretty good. He doesn't really have very good Wing Chun punches, the feints and probes and stuff, because he looks to carry his weight into all of his attacks. That's why he's so difficult to hit, because he is constantly getting his head off the line. But there's a very, very, very important idea there, because Dominic Cruz is way better at getting his head off the line than Sean O'Malley is. And Cody Garbrandt could find that head in a snowstorm. He just knew exactly where Dominic Cruz was at all times and was just blasting him. Now, the only thing that I don't like about Cody Garbrandt and his striking skills is that while Sean O'Malley is correct that he does have, on average, superior ability to set up his attacks, I think. Cody Garbrandt is just such a better striker. His striking is more nuanced. And Sean O'Malley, I don't think actually understands striking at the level of nuance that Cody Garbrandt does. The timings, how those feints and probes actually work in relation to people who have multiple points that they can access on their line, right? Now, what do I mean by that real quick? Well, Sean O'Malley finds 3 points on his line to make attacks. He finds this uppercut, he finds the left hand, and then he throws the right hand. And all of those are on one line, right? As he crosses the line going from the back foot to the front foot. While as Wineland is having a difficult time going from the front foot to the back foot, making one decision, right? He's getting completely feinted out of position, and he's not able to react quick enough or make a decision fast enough on his line. As he begins to bring his weight back, he doesn't find any positions on his line during the course of this weight transition in which he feels comfortable being able to move off the line from this attack, okay? Whereas someone like Cody Garbrandt can seemingly move his head infinite places, right? And all these places are places, every time he puts his head down, are places where he can make an attack. Now, this is a very, very important idea because this is exactly what Cody Garbrandt was looking to do to Asunciao in the first round. He's looking to get into this position and then bait an attack. So Asunciao is going to look to get in this position and attack Garbrandt while Garbrandt is on the front half of his line, right? Or on the left side of his body. Now, if Asunciao makes an attack while Cody Garbrandt is on the front half of his line here, right? He's going to be moving towards Cody Garbrandt's left knee. Now, as he moves his weight towards Cody Garbrandt's left knee, Cody Garbrandt is going to take his head and bring it towards his right knee. Now, why is that so dangerous? Well, because Cody Garbrandt is an expert at doing this with a left hook, or with a, if he goes from the left side to the right side with the left hook, or the right side to the left side, as we saw in the final clip, with the right hand, right? He's an expert at this. And this is exactly what he's doing at the end of the first round, is looking to bait Asunciao into attacking him here in this position, right? In this position, or in this position, or in this position, right? He wants Asunciao to meet him on the line. However, he's noticing that when he's in these exaggerated positions, Asunciao is picking up on the fact that Garbrandt is looking to go from one side of his line to the other and make an attack. So he's not actually able to get Asunciao to attack him, right? So in theory, Garbrandt's actually doing a good job of controlling the space using his head movement, right? Because it's making Asunciao wary of him. This means that he's in the future, if he wanted to, he'd be able to use this head movement to actually set up attacks against Asunciao, as Asunciao feels less confident engaging him at first contact, right? At the first contact point, Asunciao doesn't feel as confident getting to that position because he doesn't know what Garbrandt's going to do, right? Well, actually, because he does know what Garbrandt's going to do. So, what does Garbrandt do? He makes an adjustment, like a very, very talented striker. Now, the reason that, again, what I mean, and why I think Cody Garbrandt's, in theory, right, his actual striking or the actual weight transfers, or the actual knockout is so much more impressive, because Cody Garbrandt has to use 2 weight transitions to make his attack work, whereas Sean O'Malley only uses 1. Now, Cody Garbrandt is going to meet Asunciao on this neutral position, right? And Asunciao knows, okay, he's baiting me, right? He's baiting me. So I'm gonna feint him first, right? Maybe draw an attack. So he feints him, right? He gets on the line, and what does he do? He uses that weight transition as he goes from the back half of his line to bring his shoulder forward, his left shoulder forward. This tells Cody that a left hand is coming. Now again, this might be a really, really wide looping left hook. It might be a really, really wide looping left hand, whatever. Could be an uppercut. Who knows what actual attack Asunciao is going to use when he gets on the line. So Cody Garbrandt wants to get all the way off the line and get all of his weight to the back foot. Now, once he's in this position, Asunciao thinks that he's done a good job of pushing Cody off of his line so that he now can attack the position that Cody has assumed. So Cody goes from this neutral position, and Asunciao says, I don't like this position. So he feints him and says, okay, I like this position much, much better. This is where I want to attack you. But Cody Garbrandt has already understood that this is the first level of feinting, guys. This is the basic level of feinting. The feint comes out. Cody Garbrandt already understands these positions. He already knows he's going to immediately go all the way to the back foot and then spring all the way to the front foot. Now, When he goes to the back foot, he gets his head all the way on one side of Asunciao's head. And Asunciao, when he throws this right hook, he's supposed to transfer his weight to the back foot. But notice Asunciao's head stays in the same place. This is a problem that I also feel that Sean O'Malley has. Now, while I do point out the fact that he throws a pretty good right hand here and gets his head pretty well off the line here, he doesn't actually do this with the majority of his other strikes, the ones that are not kicks. So that means that Cody Garbrandt is actually going to have, if they were to fight, a pretty easy time finding Sean O'Malley's head. Now, yeah, that's what I think. But it's just an excellent technique. So anyway, getting pushed to the back foot, and then Asunciao says, okay, I'm going to attack that position, and Cody Garbrandt brings his weight from the back foot to the front foot, and notice, crosses the line, right? Crosses Asunciao's line to get power into that shot, right? He has to bring his head from one side of Asunciao's body to the other, right? With that punch. Now, there are a lot of other things that kind of go on in the fights to create these patterns and these timings, and there are other things to look at because if you've watched Sean O'Malley, and Sean O'Malley has a striking video that he talks about, he compares the videos or the knockouts of Sean O'Malley, of his own knockout, and Cody Garbrandt's, and he kind of tries to say that Cody Garbrandt has bad technique, but again, it just shows how, now, I don't want to say rudimentary, but how young Sean O'Malley truly is in the striking game, and how he doesn't actually understand boxing striking probably nearly as much as he understands like MMA striking, because it is a little more difficult to get your weight all the way over your front knee or your back knee when you do that, and your opponent can just time you and kick you in the face, right? So being able to use those timings or those motions to bait kicks would be something, if you're an MMA fighter, you probably want to work on, right? Finding ways to get your weight to the front foot and block and meet head kicks so that you can set up attacks. Maybe that's a good craft. But the other reason that I think that Sean O'Malley doesn't actually have any chance to beat Garbrandt is that Garbrandt has landed extremely significant strikes against fighters that are leaps and bounds better than Sean O'Malley. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean TJ Dillashaw. Now, I think TJ Dillashaw, even though he's on EPO or whatever, I think TJ Dillashaw is one of the best mixed martial artists in all of UFC or MMA or whatever. You know, he is extremely, extremely talented. Even though he's on EPO, he works extremely hard as well. Don't take all of his credit away because he's a cheater. He just needs someone to help him with some of the fine tunings of his technique to really get him the power that he wants, so that he doesn't feel like, oh, it's your natural gift. You don't deserve to be better than me. It's natural. You know, that kind of arrogance, right? I worked hard enough. Why don't I get it? You know, so that's why he cheats. But it doesn't change the fact that I do think on average, TJ Dillashaw is probably 3 times as good of a striker as Sean O'Malley. And I don't take that lightly, okay? I know that Sean O'Malley's KO was really impressive. It looked pretty cool. He used a pretty developed line. But what I want to show here is that TJ Dillashaw does the exact same combination against Cody Garbrandt, and Cody Garbrandt knocks him down, okay? So TJ Dillashaw is going to approach the line. He takes a step, meets first contact, and now he's going to be transferring his weight from the back foot to the front foot, right? Kind of with an uppercut, right? And then as he takes this step with the lead hand, right? Because and again, it's not exactly an uppercut, but the idea is that he's transferring his weight from the back foot to the front foot. And this is going to tell Cody Garbrandt that a right hand is coming, right? Very similarly to the Asunciao, when Asunciao brings his weight from the back foot to the front foot, that shoulder feint tells him that left hand connection is coming. That at some point during this weight transition, this person may try to connect the line with the punch, right? So TJ Dillashaw going from the back foot forward, and then as he's going forward, he feints Cody off the line, and then he throws this left hook here, right? Or this left shot, boom, as he takes this step. Now, I know that the video quality is like super bad, but maybe I can just, boom. Oh, I can just do this, yeah. So look, as he takes this step, very similarly to Sean O'Malley, right? So he goes forward, the right hand gets out there, Cody Garbrandt gets pushed back to the back half of his line, the left hand comes out, and he feints Cody Garbrandt as he transitions his weight back to the back foot so that he can throw that right hand. And what does Cody Garbrandt do? He's easily able to get his head off the line and throw his own right hand. Now, how does he do this? Well, the same exact timing, right, that Sean O'Malley used against Wineland, that Garbrandt used against Asunciao. As soon as DJ Dillashaw gets to the front foot, Cody Garbrandt knows first contact is here. I got to get off the line and then get back on the line and make an attack, right? As you see, he transfers his weight from the back foot all the way to the front foot. But there are so many parallels between this and between Sean O'Malley's KO of Eddie Wineland and how seamlessly Cody Garbrandt is able to get away from this. Because these kinds of basic feints are not going to work against high-level fighters. High-level fighters are going to be able to control your lead hand. They're going to be able to understand when they're in danger, when they're not. They understand that when you are coming forward, on your own timings, right, that you're more likely to make attacks here as well, because they understand these positions as well, right? It doesn't appear that Eddie Wineland understood that when he gets all his weight to the front foot, that this is going to be a position that Sean O'Malley is going to attack, in spite of the fact that Sean O'Malley said he landed this combination against him earlier in the fight, right? So if, number one, Wineland already showed that he'd been hit by this combination before, he wasn't ready for it then, right? But then he's doubly not ready for it later, which shows that he's not learning. But we can clearly see Cody Garbrandt demonstrating that this is a timing and a style of fighting he's very accustomed to, right? This is boxing 101, right? You get on the line, your opponent meets you on the line, feints you, you move your head off the line, and you punch him in the face, right? So anyway, Cody Garbrandt's striking, the level of striking in which he operates is just much higher than Sean O'Malley is capable of understanding right now. Now, I don't know exactly if that means that Sean O'Malley's going to beat Cody Garbrandt. Maybe Sean O'Malley can kick Cody Garbrandt in the face and knock him out. But boxing-wise, Sean O'Malley has basically zero chance to beat Cody Garbrandt, in my opinion. And if that fight got signed, I'd probably put big money on Cody Garbrandt.